Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's live. Today, we have myself, Adrian, and we have Megan, and we are going to talk about our experience with carnivore and beyond. Megan, would you like to tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Megan Hempel. I am a weight loss and food addiction coach, but I've definitely been making some big pivots in my business. I struggled with food addiction and bulimia for like most of my life, probably age 9 up until 30. I would say most of my healing came from the keto, low carb, carnivore diet. I found a lot of healing there. And over the last year have made some pretty big changes and have been able to do some much deeper healing.
I'm so excited to hear about your bigger changes. Just a little bit about myself. I have been struggling with obesity my entire life. And along that way, I've gone up and down and up and down in weight. And every single attempt, I just took it on as a self-moral failure, a willpower failure. And that has energized me to just every single attempt, take it a bigger jump at it, take a harder stance at it. And I started with, calorie deficits and lots of exercise. I was on The Biggest Loser. And then, running half marathons, restricting zero fat and very low carbohydrate, and then reducing carbs. And along the way, I do want, and I think you agree, that there are some coaches out there that I just want to give huge props to, because this live is not about causing turmoil, causing drama, putting people down, making people feel triggered. And so I just want to start with that. I am so grateful for the coaches that I've worked with. Megan was one of them. She was actually the only person I hired one-on-one. But I also worked in Kelly Hogan's group. I did a ton of work with Dr. Lisa Wiedemann. She really pushed me. And to be honest, I like to be pushed. I feel like you kind of like to be pushed too. When I started working with you, you were actually kind of about pushing, but also pulling back a little bit. And there was a lot more mindset work, and it like agitated. It made me really uncomfortable. I'm going to be honest, because I think that progress is always uncomfortable. And I also worked with Danny Conway. I really liked all of her. She works outside the box. She's very outside the box. And I also just want to thank, I have like a lot of friends in the carnivore community, and I want to thank every one of them for listening to me when about a year ago I came out and said, you guys, carnivore wasn't quite the ticket, but if you combined it with this other thing, it seems to be so wonderful, which for me has been peptides, also known as like GLP-1. So that was a really big ramble. You had mentioned that carnivore, keto, low carb, that it helped you heal and overcome some things. How did it help you do that? And what did it help you with?
Yeah. So back in, for many years, I also struggled with fitness addiction. And I actually think that isn't a topic that's addressed enough. I think many people get addicted to results, obsessive behaviors with working out. And that was part of my sickness, I guess you could say. So I like everything was really, really noisy for me up until like 6 years ago. So when I found keto and carnivore, that and I actually had lots of coaching myself. My coach saved my life, and I think that's why I'm so passionate about what I do, because my coach changed my life, and I hope to help others change their lives as well. But keto and carnivore really, it gave me structure. It really minimized a lot of what I like to say food noise, but I'm starting to look at food noise a lot differently now, which we can talk about, later on in the show. But it gave me a good solid foundation. Now, during, over the last 6 years, there were times when I would try to reintroduce certain things, and I would end up chronically overeating them. So I would just jump to the conclusion of I'm addicted to this and that, and I just need to completely abstain for, and just stick with very minimal carbohydrate and carnivore, because it was just easier. right? And then I started noticing really, I mean, I've had a lot of different health issues, so it's really hard to say what is what. But over the last year, especially in January, I was about to do another strict dairy-free carnivore. And January came and I was literally gagging at the thought of eating another piece of meat. And I knew that that was my body talking to me. But there was also bits and pieces of me that were totally in denial of like, no, like, this is what you do. This is what you do. So didn't do the dairy-free carnivore, but even back in, I would say like over the springtime, I think I did 90 or not 90, like 30 days of strict carnivore, because I'm like, oh, my brain is just more peaceful and like, let's just do this. But I was struggling. Like my energy was totally garbage. My thyroid, not so well. I mean, I have labs from a couple of years ago that were showing that my kidneys and my liver wasn't doing well, but I correlated that to CIRS because, that's a whole other story. But now I start to wonder, did I actually trigger my CIRS from being zero carb? Like that's such a stress on the body. But anyways, so I actually went to, and I haven't even told my friend this, and I will tell her at some point, but I was at a retreat in, I want to say July. And I think I was pretty carnivore in that moment in time. And she was like, Megan, you're just, and I love this woman. She's like, Megan, you're just, you're using carnivore as a Band-Aid, right? For your eating disorder. And I was like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. And I hope this triggers nobody, because I want you to understand. I understand how scary it is bringing other things in. Like I get it. And there was moments in my life where I did try reintroducing and it woke up an animal. I didn't go back to where I was and binge on, cookies, cakes, and ice cream, but it woke up, a lot of noise that I didn't want to deal with. But she said that to me when she said that I was using carnivore as a Band-Aid. That kind of stuck to me a little bit in a good way. It was very eye-opening. It was like she told me something I didn't necessarily want to hear, but I needed to hear. And that was kind of, that helped me a little bit, because I'm like, you know what? Like my body was suffering. And I'm one of those people where I show up online regularly. I'm a very positive person, and I don't necessarily always show a lot of my struggles behind the scenes stuff. But I was struggling. So was really like, didn't like my body, didn't really like, and I get it. Like, I get body image isn't everything, but let's be real. Most of us like to look good. And I didn't like how I was feeling. Energy was terrible. I'm a big gym junkie. My relationship with the gym and fitness is, I would say, very, very healthy, but I love working out. And every time I would show up at the gym, like there was zero energy. Like I would literally put my timer on for 30 minutes just to say I showed up, and I did. And it was a struggle bus. So there was a couple turning points. My parents were very low carb, carnivore, keto for a long time, and they started to get into a lot more hiking. And they're like, yeah, we've been upping our carbs, and we've been feeling so much better. And I'm like, ooh, that sounds scary, but I'm feeling like shit. Excuse my language. So I started to add in. I was already adding some more carbs in, but like keto carbs, right? Like nothing significant. So I was bringing more stuff in, and I was okay. And then I actually, the biggest, I think, eye-opener for me was I occasionally allow myself to have ketogenic ice cream. And it's actually one on the market. The ingredients are actually like really good, pretty clean for a grocery store. And I had, and the total amount in that was like 50 grams of carbohydrates. So like 50 grams, that's a lot for somebody who doesn't eat a lot of carbohydrates. And then the next day I went on a run, and it was the longest run that I had done in 6 years. And I felt good. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, there's something to this. And that kind of started everything in this. It started the pivot of where I'm at currently.
I guess I should go back and say, if people are coming from Megan and they've never met me or know what's going on here, I did The Biggest Loser, gained all my weight back, and then gained an extra 100, then did the running and restricting, then started gaining weight again. I went from 330 to 230. So my highest was 330. And when I hit 230, my body started gaining weight again. So then I had gastric bypass. That's been a nightmare, absolute nightmare. Looking to have it reversed now. I highly suggest, if you know anybody considering it, tell them absolutely not. There are other better routes these days. There are better, significantly better, that won't ruin people's lives. But then the low carb, and like we were talking about the exercise, I've always, when people are like, oh, you struggle with obesity because you just don't move your body enough, you're just sitting on the couch eating cookies. No, I have been counting every single morsel for like 20 years. I have been exercising 5 days a week for like 20 years. Like, I have been doing the things. And so I went into carnivore. Well, there was like low carb. Then I eventually jumped into carnivore because I found out about this mold thing. And it seemed like that was, let's get rid of the food reactions. My arms and legs were going numb. I had horrible brain fog. I still have the memory issues and the brain fog, but it was like a fog that never ended. And when I went on carnivore, it was like, ooh, and you kind of get this quieting of the food noise at first. And you see like inflammation go down a little bit in the beginning, and it kind of gives you momentum. And then you're fuller for the first time. So you're like, wow, this could be like my weight loss ticket for real. But then I had to do harder and harder and harder things to try to lose weight. Like the carnivore diet in itself is not a weight loss diet. Period, point blank, exclamation point, except maybe for men. I've seen some men and they just seem to just eat meat and then whoop, stud muffin.
I have a few clients that are male, and their results on carnivore have been incredible. And that's why, for those of you who are listening, I will never discredit keto and carnivore, because I think they are beautiful tools for certain seasons of life. I just don't think they're life sentences.
Yeah. So then I was chasing, like, you see those benefits in the beginning. And so then it would fade away, and I would always blame myself. I would always be like, well, I'm not trying hard enough. I'm not walking enough. I need to walk 3 hours a day instead of 1 hour a day. I need to weight lift 5 days a week instead of 1 day a week. I need to, just keep stepping it up. And I did the sardine fasting, the water fasting, the fat fasting. I tried high fat. I tried PSMF. I tried lion diet for 2 months. And I don't know if the lion diet was before or after you, but I think it was after I started working with you, I think, is when I did the lion diet. And that was my final. That was my ticket that said, Adrienne, you need to wake up. I think if I remember right, we both have this in our history too. I'm not sure. Maybe I have it misdirected. I quit drinking 13 years ago. And removing alcohol, abstaining from alcohol, but also I did the 12-step program, was life-changing. And so I just thought, well, I clearly have food addiction. So if I apply the same exact thing to food, I will be cured of this. I will be free of it. And I would see glimpses of it, but the food noise would always come back. And the final of, I can't restrict my way out of food noise, was the lion diet. Like, you can't restrict any more than eating nothing but ruminant meat, salt, and water.
Can I ask you something, Adrienne?
Yeah.
I'm genuinely curious, because I never did do the lion diet. Like, were you genuinely happy doing the lion diet? Because some people claim that they're genuinely happy doing it. I cannot personally, if I did it, I think I would be miserable. Just
like the carnivore diet, I was happy until I wasn't.
Yeah.
And I genuinely do not think it's enough nutrition. Yeah. I don't think that is a healthy long-term diet at all.
I can see how it can be wonderful for like an elimination diet, 100%.
Yeah, but as a lifestyle, I just don't see how you're not becoming malnourished. It just doesn't seem. And Judy Cho has done a video on how it's just not enough. And I remember the first time I ate salmon, and it was like the best thing I'd ever eaten in my life. Like, clearly I wasn't getting enough, but in my brain, I was like, I'm an addict. There were tickers along the way. Like, you gave some of your tickers. One of mine was when I was working with you, and you were like, listen, I drink electrolytes, flavored electrolytes, and I make myself electrolyte jello. And I was like, how can that be? How is that possible? But you weren't the only person in the space of, we're going to say ED, because we're not supposed to say those words on YouTube, and addiction. You weren't the only person out there that was saying, no, I have peace with this thing. And I was thinking, how can that even be possible? So you were one of the first tickers of maybe it's possible. And so after the lion diet, I was like, you know what? Restriction isn't going to cure me. I am going to allow myself to have electrolytes. And just having that sweet electrolyte each day was enough to just lift something off of my shoulders and I didn't think I felt restricted. We'll hear people say it all the time. This isn't restrictive, it's freeing. But when I got to have that electrolyte, it was like, it released. It was like I was always looking for something. I didn't know what it was because I hadn't had sugar or sweet in so long. I went periods and periods of no dairy for so long. It was like I was hunting for something, but I didn't know what it was. Did you have that at all?
Yes. And I will say this, I think everybody has their different levels of freedom, because even when I was in my ED recovery and, food addiction, I don't know if we're allowed to say that without getting in trouble on YouTube. But like, I did feel over the last 6 years, I found my sense of freedom, right? Because I wasn't self-harming myself. I wasn't self-sabotaging myself. I wasn't stuck in the sick behaviors that I was in. So I found freedom there, but I feel like where I'm at now is a whole other level of freedom. And I want to talk a little bit about the food noise. I'm really starting to I'm challenging that a little bit, because I totally understand when people, I've heard a few people in the carnivore space say, well, I try to bring this in and then I end up going on a binge and I, go off into the deep end. And I totally get that and I can relate wholeheartely. I mean, I remember there was a time, even the sweetness in tomato sauce or the sweetness in a butternut squash, I would just that one bite, I would just be like, oh my gosh, give it to me all. I wasn't going off and eating cookies, cakes, and ice cream, but I was eating large amounts of it because I was like, oh my gosh, this is so good. But now I look back and I'm like, I think when I was feeling out of control with those certain things, whether it was me trying to bring berries in or anything with a sweetness in it, I think that was my body saying, you need this. And that's why I was feeling out of control with those things at that time. So it's taken me 6 years to get me to where I am. I think processed food addiction is 100% real, but I'm really getting to a place now where I'm really starting to wonder, okay, is being addicted to whole foods actually real? Or is it just, we've really got to work through some hard, uncomfortable SHIT to get us to a place where we can start, having other things in our life again. And I don't want to criticize anybody with where they're at in their journey, because I freaking get it. Like I said, it's taken me scary. Years. I mean, I had watermelon for the first time in 6 years over the summertime, right? But to get to a place where I am eating, going to the grocery store now, I laugh when I'm putting stuff in my grocery cart, because I have veggies and fruits and meat. It's a very, I think, in my opinion, a very proper human diet to have those things and be able to do it in a way where you're not triggered.
Thank you for saying what you just said, because as we look back, first of all, I feel like carnivore is kind of sexy. We are eating meat. We are fueling our sex hormones with that animal fat. We are nourishing our bodies. There's something primal and sexy about it, kind of. And I went with, this is the primal diet. But if you look back now, do you really, first of all, there is no known tribe that has ever eaten nothing but meat. If you go look it up, even the Inuits and every tribe that they claim was a carnivore tribe, maybe they were carnivore a big part of the year, but they did in fact eat berries. They ate the roughage in the stomachs of the animals that they ate. They ate root vegetables. And so there is, that we know of, no tribes that ate nothing but meat. If you eat nothing but meat, that signals to your body that we are in a deep, dark winter, and there must have been a flood that wiped out all plants, and we're maybe just something bad happened because we didn't dry any of them, we didn't put them in a root cellar, we didn't store anything, and something bad has happened, and it's a deep, dark winter. I think it's much more primal that we would have been gathering and hunting. What do you think?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think that when there was vegetables or fruits, they were going to eat them, obviously. And when there was only meat available, that's what you would eat.
Where I live, there in the certain seasons, there is an abundance of berries. In another season, there is abundance of apples, an abundance. And there's another season where there's an abundance of wild rice. So even in northern Minnesota, closer to Canada, there are seasons where there are abundance of these carbohydrates that we would be able to preserve and eat throughout the winter. And maybe there's a period towards the end of the winter where maybe it went bad or you ran out. So that I believe that it's primal to have periods of carnivore, but yeah. I think just like calorie deficits, low carb and zero carb signals to your body to metabolically adapt, which is why I'm seeing so many people, I don't know about you, but they will refer to, in the beginning, this worked so good for me. And I must not be working it hard enough. I'm not perfect enough because it doesn't work anymore, but they never say the second part. They always just say, if I could just be strict again, if I could just this or that, then it would work again. And in theory, sure, but in practice, how is it any different than a calorie deficit? You know, we all know if you stay in a calorie deficit, your body adapts. Why wouldn't we think the same logic with a zero carb diet?
And when you get in a deficit, that's, you know, a really big deficit, what happens? Stuff stops working. Or it doesn't work.
And that's where me and you ended up. Yeah. And it's interesting what you said, because I was blaming everything on mold. That was my reason for, it's not carnivore. It's got to be the mystery mold. It must be the mold in the gym. It must be the mold somewhere else, because we moved 5 times, you guys. 5 times we moved trying to hide from mold that we couldn't see or smell. And finally, I'm in a house that's mold free. My thyroid's in the tank. My hormones are in the tank. My brain is in the tank. My energy's in the tank. Well, if it's not the mold, what is going on?
Right. 100%. And like now I'm looking back and yes, I have markers to show, you know, the CIRS markers, but I really do wonder, did I feel like the Walking Dead for as long as I did because I wasn't giving my body what it needed? Because I think I was in denial for a really, really long time. And I'll tell you why I was in denial. I was in denial, I think, for so long because I was so scared of reintroducing things. Because when you struggle with an ED and you have worked so hard to get to a really good place, and I got to a really good place in terms of like, you know, my relationship with food, which in fact I had to work even more deeper on. But I was just so terrified of going back to a place that I never, ever, ever want to revisit again. But I'm very big on this, and I probably say this on every interview I do, is I am very big on what you think and say about yourself is what you become. And just because you did something in the past doesn't mean you have to do it moving forward. We have such power and control over our minds, and a lot of it is mindset work and uncomfortable work. Like you said, Adrian, like we've got to dive deep. We've got to do some work that feels very uncomfortable that we probably don't want to do to get to the other side. And so that's where I was at. And I'm like, you know what? Like my body is screaming for help right now. Like the fact that I was able to go running because I had some more carbs and I felt really good. And then I also gave myself about a month and a half ago, when I had already started adding more stuff in, I did run a 4-point saliva cortisol test, which showed a lot, you know, what my adrenals were doing, which was like, yep, like we need to stop with the long fasts. We need to stop being very, very low minimal carbohydrate. We need to regulate the nervous system, dial back on our workouts, you know, play around with our macros a little bit. And I feel like And I know for a fact, I mean, I've talked to many carnivores behind the scenes who were experiencing similar signs and symptoms and struggles. And I think it's hard, you know, when you've been doing something for so long and you've been teaching something for so long, to make, you know, come to, you know, the reality of like, yeah, like this is what I need to do. I don't know, I'm babbling, but yeah.
So I see the food noise as two different things. I think number one, for me, I've been low carb, not just in carnivore, but for like 20 years. So did I really have CIRS from mold, or was I exhausting my system so much it couldn't handle even environmental mold?
That's exactly what I'm saying. 100% agree with you. That's what I wonder the same thing with myself.
And so it is, you know, and when I'm adding things back, which I want to backpedal on that for just a second in a minute, but when I'm adding things back, I'm actually adding things that I doxed 20 years ago: rice, grains, fruit. I'm working on the honey and the syrup. That's a little concerning because of my gastric bypass and my reactive hypoglycemia. But if I were to combine it in something and not just eat a spoonful of honey, I think I could have it. I'm working on getting the artificial sweeteners out. But let's be honest here. I still have fear and I still have things I need to work through. So for me, especially because of reactive hypoglycemia, I did not go from carnivore to sugar diet because I would be sick. And not just physically, but mentally. So for me, it's been a really slow addition, one food at a time, finding out,
how do you respond? Yeah.
I'm okay. And for you, it sounds like for you, it was a little slow too. I mean, I worked with you a year and a half ago, I think, and you had the electrolytes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
it was, I would say for the last year, like in January, that's when I knew I needed to start bringing stuff in, but was still like, oh, I don't know. But I would still, like I said, I would bring I was more on the ketogenic, like vegetables, that stuff I was bringing in. And then I don't know, springtime, I brought in some coconut water because I needed carbs, but I was also, coconut water didn't like wake anything up for me. I just needed the carbs because I was feeling like dying. And then I brought in some small white potatoes, did okay there. Interesting. I've always been a little nervous to add in sweet potatoes just because back in the day, I loved sweet potato fries and I would binge on them. So I was very kind of scared and nervous to bring them back in. Brought them back in. Totally fine. I actually just tried white rice for the first time in well over 6 years. I did, and I'm fine. Like, I'm okay. So yes, it very slow because I'm just like, you know, but it's like, I feel like the slower you go, the better, because it's just, well, one, you want to see how your body's going to respond, how you're going to do. But it also gives you such a sense of confidence. Like, oh, yeah, like I'm okay. Yeah. And not like I said, Adrienne, it's like a whole different level of freedom. And even my coach, who I had worked on and off with for the last 5 years, she would say to me, Megan, I really hope that you eventually get to a place where you can have other foods, you know? And I think for many years, I just became terrified of reintroducing certain things just because I was trying to protect myself.
It's a protection thing. So I think that food noise is two things. I think one is, like you said, you're in a deep, dark winter. And when you come out of winter, your body wants to replenish. You have, and if people look back at truly, but even before carnivore, were they low carb? Were they keto? How long have they been restricting this? And their body probably wants it. Where in the real world, maybe on a bad winter, we would have not had it for a few months. But if we've gone years without it, give it to your body and see what happens. And then second thing, and people can disagree with this or not, but I know from my personal experience that there are genetic factors as well as environmental factors that are destroying our pathways, our are hormonal pathways that signal to the brain and the pancreas. I've struggled with obesity my entire life. I was eating the same foods as everyone else. I've been restricted my entire life, but my body doesn't efficiently turn it into energy. My body doesn't signal to the brain very well. And so for me, using a peptide like GLP-1 has made all the difference in the world. And I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but people out there who know, who've tried, and I'm for low and slow, and we can go into obviously the problems, but start low, go slow, and combine it with lifestyle. Combine it with eating whole foods and plenty of protein and moving your body and getting sun and working on sleep.
Yeah,
and,
can I interrupt and say something with that?
Yeah.
I think, like, I'm not anti-peptides by any means. I believe that everybody, same in the diet world, right? Like, whatever you find that works for you, I'm so happy for you. But if you are considering a peptide, like Adrienne said, you have to be doing the lifestyle stuff. You can't just go on the peptide and think it's going to solve all of your problems. Like, no, you need to be making sure you're nourishing yourself properly. You need to be doing the foundations, working out, you know, like all of the little pieces to the puzzle, not just I'm going on the peptide and it's going to do everything for me.
Mm-hmm. And what it's done for me is make me feel what my husband feels like every day. Like, he isn't obsessed with food at all. He can eat once a day and then he's just full. And his food, it's so ridiculous. He can eat a bowl of noodles and be good for 24 hours. And I'm like, and then, and with his bowl of noodles, he'll drink a pop. And it was like, this is devoid of any nutrition and such. Those foods were created to make food noise, and he is like food noise resistant. I wouldn't say I'm on enough of a dose to be food noise resistant, but I eat my meals. I can eat my whole meal, and then I just move on with my life. And it's been such a changer, but it's also been a changer because previously, no matter what I ate, no matter what the deficit was, no matter what the foods were, I was gaining weight when I was eating. Now I've been able to eat more than I ever have. I can eat more and maintain. I've been able to stop tracking and maintain. I obviously had insulin resistance that, because I was low carb, wasn't coming up on any tests. And we know that they run very poor tests. Like, they don't even run a fasting insulin unless you work with like somebody functional, you know? So yeah. I've never come up as insulin resistant, but I definitely, struggling with obesity my whole life, have been. So what that did for me, though, why this is important here, is that I was like, why are so many people having this trouble? And I think it's the glyphosate destroying the gut. I think it's the antibiotics. I had high dose antibiotics at 18 months old because I had pneumonia so bad I almost died. And I grew up in a moldy house, and I grew up in a lot of trauma. And when you just combine all these different factors, I think it can literally destroy the gut lining and or the nerve endings in your gut. And then there's another thing too. When you have certain diets and alcohol, it destroys certain positive enzymes, and some other enzymes take over. And those enzymes block the ability for the signaling to the brain and the pancreas, which is why, if anybody watches now, when you go on antibiotics, watch the food noise get crazy, because the bad enzyme is because you're killing stuff off.
That makes sense. That does make sense, because a lot of times people will say, oh, you're going to start eating a lot of food because you're going to get an appetite.
So there is a physiological piece here, but I don't know that everybody has to go the GLP-1 route. I think that was a great route for me. I think another great route is like what you're doing. And Jay Feldman and Mike Fave and the bioenergetic people, they talk a lot about how to naturally rebalance the gut and heal it, and how to get all of your nutrient deficiencies covered. How to, why are carbs good? Because they fuel our thyroid. Because they fuel our metabolism. And when you're deficient all the time, your body has to overcompensate. And that's an expensive process, which is why our cortisol is in the tank.
Yep. 100%. And I don't understand how some people can discredit that, because it or maybe even just discredit stories. Because I know what it's like to be gaslit, and I've also know what it's like to get my inbox, I'm sure you too, bombarded with people saying, oh my gosh, me too. This is happening to me.
This is the me too.
Yeah.
This is
but
low
seriously,
carb
yeah, but it is very interesting. And I do think, like, if you have an open mind, if you know that you are suffering, and if you know that you have done all of the keto perfect macros and all of the carnivore macros, and you did all the workouts and you did this and you did that, and nothing's working, and you feel like not good, and your thyroid's not doing good, and you're losing your hair, and you're not sleeping at night, it's like, okay, let's try something new. And it can be scary. I totally get it. But I promise you, if you just like lean into it a little bit, go really, really slow, reintroduce 1 or 2 things at a time, just to kind of build that self-trust with yourself and your body. Like, okay, see how you react. I think it could be a really good experiment for yourself.
Yeah. And let's say you don't want to take any steps today. My thought would be just pop over and subscribe to Jay Feldman and Mike Fave and see if at one time something that they post kind of hits a chord with you where you're like, I'll watch that. Cause I had a friend sending me stuff for 6 months. She was sending me stuff for 6 months, I think. And every time it was like, that doesn't correlate with me, because if I add carbs back, I'm going to become obese. If I add carbs back, I'm going to have food noise. If I add carbs back, I'm going to have low blood sugar. So I don't really care what you're sending me. I don't care that because it doesn't correlate with what's going on with me. But when I added the GLP-1 and I was able to see my body process food appropriately, I realized then that the food wasn't the problem, because I've been whole foods for a long time. So the whole foods were not the problem. It was the way my body was processing them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy.
And
I'm so glad you're doing better. Are you doing better, like fatigue wise? Because I know you were really struggling with your fatigue for a while.
What's great for me with the GLP-1 thing is you get control, you get peace, you get a hold of, some chronic conditions. My chronic inflammation's way down. My chronic obesity, I'm not fighting every day. I'm not freaking out every single day about working out. It is now, something I do for a half an hour to an hour, a few days a week. So now that I don't have to be so consumed and obsessed with the inflammation and the weight, now I've been able to move on to other healing. Good. And now I'm leaning in towards, I have some kind of like PCOS perimenopause problem is what I honestly think the root is. And I'm working on it.
One thing at a time.
Sleep is way better. Good. I take something called Tromune. I think I have it right here. It's it's a troche, and it's the cordyceps mushroom. Tromune from Troscriptions. It reduces another layer of inflammation and food. You have no idea what kind of mess I have here. It boosts your immune system. And so we go 10 steps back. We're not taking a sleep aid. We're taking something to relax the immune system, which is another reason I added the carbs, is because I was working on this perimenopause, and every practitioner I talked to said, listen, I can tell that your body and your nervous system are still on fire. And I was like, well, what can I do? Like, I'm praying, I'm going to church. I got the weight thing under control. I've been, working on the sleep thing. I have the sleep routine that starts at 6 o'clock at night. Like, don't look at me after 6 o'clock. I look like it's just ready for bedtime. I've got all the lights turned down. So what else could be stressing my body? And they were like, your diet, your diet. So that's what I was like, okay, so I need to support my nervous system by giving it a break, giving it some energy.
Yeah. Yep. I agree 100%.
Okay, let me go into some of these comments. There's some great comments here. I recently switched from carnivore to high carb, low fat, and I'm able to finally start losing some weight, has caused some lipedema to swell in my legs and makes me tired all day from blood sugar fluctuation. Do you have any thought on that?
I would say, once again, it comes down to individuality. I am not an expert with lipedema. I'm not. I do know that a lot of carnivores have found a lot of it's helped them a lot with lipedema. So I would say, if you know what works best for you, stick with that. Because once again, I'm not anti-carnivore by any means. And I think that it's very individualized with everybody.
I think, well, so there's one thing, which is the blood sugar fluctuations should, in theory, get better over time. Because if you think of your pancreas like a muscle, you're working that muscle now. And so the muscle should get stronger in theory. However, I think a lot of people with lymphedema have insulin resistance and hormone issues. So number one, I would look into Jay Feldman. Number two, I'm seeing a lot of people feel a lot better considering researching what this GLP-1 thing actually is, which is a peptide. And another peptide that's amazing for inflammation and for these swings and helping healing is at a cellular level is BPC 157. So I have a playlist. If you haven't looked into it, it's called GLP-1 Experts. So it's not me. And it talks about what it actually is and things that it can help with. And lipedema is like a 50-50. I think pretty much everyone feels better, but it isn't a cure for lipedema. Like your other fat cells will start to shrink so you can more visibly see the other ones, but people have a significant reduction in pain because of the reduced inflammation and because you're losing the other fat cells. And it can be helpful if you decide to go the surgery route to get those cells removed. That is a tough one. And it's one of those things, I don't know about you, Megan, but I have a bookmark there in my brain for we need a cure for lipedema. Another bookmark I have is we need a cure for type 1 diabetes. Mm. These are some bookmarks. And another one is not everybody responds to GLP-1. And another bookmark is to continue down the Jay Feldman route and learn more and more about healing much more naturally. I missed a bunch of hers and I wish that I had them all in front of me, but when you star them, it puts them in a pile. But she said she's sleeping better and has the thyroid symptoms are better. And I think that was for her adding carbs. Tracy asked if we can move back into our house. We are actually, previous to the revelation in this home, it was an absolutely never because of the trauma. There's no way emotionally I was going to be able to move back into the house. However, my husband fixed our camper, not the way I would have fixed it, the way he fixed it. And we let it sit for 2 years because I refused to go back in there. If you have mold illness, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you're terrified.
I refuse to go back in there. We recently just tested it after collecting 2 years of dust, and he did, in fact, fix it. So I am more empowered than ever that we can fix our house and move back into it, and I'm praying about it. I used to think I was a sugar addict for 2 decades. I have no problems handling carbs today. I stopped looking at carbs as what I was doing something wrong. Yeah. I feel like, I don't know what your practice is like, but there's a lot of helping, whether it's people adding carbs back or they're adding a GLP-1 in my coaching group, there's a lot of, in the very first months, kind of sadness, a feeling of failure, a feeling like, should I really be changing things or should I just work carnivore harder? Like there's this kind of sadness. But there's this magical thing that happens. Sometimes it's a weekend, sometimes it's a couple months in where they go,
yeah.
It wasn't my effort. It wasn't my willpower.
Right.
I needed something else.
100%.
Okay. I think this is for you. Do you still eat as many carbs on rest days, non-gym days? I walk most days because I enjoy it and it's good for me. And I don't feel I need to earn my carbs with a lift day, but rest days are hard to eat more.
So I would say, I'm definitely not nearly as hungry on the days that I don't lift. I would say my macros stay pretty similar, like every day, but on days where I'm lifting like heavy, I notice myself more hungry, and if I'm more hungry, I'll eat more.
I saw our group works with a hormone practice and it's optional. People don't have to do it. And she had said that she personally eats more carbs on her lifting days. And if you the science is all over the place. But some people will claim that if you eat carbs around your lifting or even in the middle of your lifting, that it skips the insulin response and goes directly into the muscles to refuel the glycogen and push your pumps. But I don't know. People change what they say every single day. So I don't know. Let's hear what else we have. Check out Jay Feldman's podcast about how to transition from carnivore, including carbs again. Super helpful. I've been listening to as much Jay Feldman as I can.
Yeah,
I don't
he's
know.
awesome.
Do you watch him? Like, it's overwhelming. I felt like I was so informed, and then I found him, and I was like, I need a degree in this. That's a good one. Hi. I've been super gaslit when talking about my struggles I've had in every possible way. Yeah, I've heard some crazy things in the community, like brushing symptoms off. And now it turns out there's a very physiological reason people would be having those symptoms. Now, if you feel perfectly fine and you're on carnivore and you have peace and you're not seeing symptoms and you're sleeping and your cholesterol isn't through the roof, your glucose is maintaining nice and low like you like it, and you're just not having symptoms, I wouldn't poke the bear personally. I wouldn't like go digging around looking for things because you feel perfectly fine and content. However, if you're waking up wide awake at 4 o'clock in the morning, that's a sign that your cortisol is like you're having issues. You don't have enough glycogen and your body is struggling to produce it to keep you through the night. That's why it woke you up. If you're chronically fatigued, that was one thing I wanted to talk to you about. I've never heard really, and I've been digging and looking and trying to find. I think that if people have chronic fatigue syndrome, chronic inflammation, and adrenal dysfunction, they need to be very careful with carnivore because it's going to make it worse. It is not going to heal it. I'm not saying you can't do it for a period of time, but you need to be very careful.
Yeah,
what are your thoughts on that?
It could put 100%. I actually wrote about it today. It could potentially make you a lot worse than you already are. Because your stress hormones are going to go up even more than they already are. And what happens when stress hormones are up for a very long time, guess what happens? Your adrenals are at some point going to crash, and you're going to end up in phase 3 or 4 adrenal fatigue.
One of the signs that you might have an adrenal issue is if you can't handle coffee. Like you used to be able to have coffee and now you can't have coffee. That is in the morning. That is a sign your adrenals are struggling. Yeah. And I know we shouldn't drink naked coffee in the morning, blah, 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 blah. But if you were able to do it before and now you can't, something adrenally shifted, I think. This is such a good one. I'm watching from the beginning. I hate being accused of addiction. Heck, I even thought at one time. Processed foods are made to be addictive, but I'm not addicted to fruit. Yeah.
And I can totally say though, like I get everything you're saying, and it sounds like you have gotten to a place of healing, which is amazing. But for the people who haven't gotten to where you are, where I am, where Adrian is, I can see why they would say or think they are addicted to fruit or certain vegetables, because I did too. I thought I was that girl for many years. Every time that I would try bringing something in, I was like, I can't, I'm addicted. But it was honestly, I think it was more binge eating disorder, honestly, because my body just needed it. So
I have to cut that word out. Don't say that word.
Sorry, ED.
I'll have to go back.
Oh, sorry.
All good.
Okay. Yeah. So I agree with everything you just said right there.
So I think that we are smart enough women that if a good example, when my metabolism slowed down because I stayed in a calorie deficit to lose 100 pounds, I learned I can't stay in a calorie deficit because I'll stall out. I physically learned that. When I did carnivore really hard and sardine fasted for a whole summer and all my hair fell out, I learned that, I guess it actually took me a long time to actually correlate what had happened. But I learned that doing too many stressful things will cause me to lose my hair and my metabolism, even if I wasn't in a super
I was
deficit.
starting to lose my hair too. Yeah,
I lost more hair than I've ever. We've had this conversation.
Yeah, but I blamed it on CIRS. I blamed it on CIRS.
Me too.
Yeah.
And I lost hair for 6 months. Yeah. My hair used to be down to here.
Yeah.
And now it's been growing because this was October of 2023 when this happened. So since October, and my hair was from here all the way back to here, it was only this long, my whole front of my head. And
Talk
there was
about
like a
being
crown.
a woman and like how traumatizing that is when you're losing
Trauma. It's
hair.
taken years
Me
to
too.
grow hair back.
Yeah.
Years. So every time we do these things, we learn. We don't want to do that. And I feel exactly the same way about ED. I know things that rob my peace. It robs my peace. And because it robs my peace, it's going to destroy my ability to be a functional mom, human being, and coach. So if me adding blueberries back robbed my peace, I wouldn't do it. So no, I'm not leaning back into addiction.
Right. Yeah.
Because that would be an unpeaceful life.
Right. 100%.
Now, if I saw nowadays, things have gotten a lot better. And again, I have the assistance of lower GLP-1. In the beginning, when I added blueberries, it made me want to eat blueberries. These days, I can eat a handful of blueberries and move away.
Yeah.
I can eat a cup of rice and move on with my life. But in the beginning, I couldn't, even on low and slow GLP-1. In the beginning, I couldn't because I don't take enough to zap myself out. I am not okay because of what I've been through, not eating enough. I don't need to be the former carnivore Skeletor because everybody will go, we told you. So you better believe I am eating my eggs. I am eating my salmon. I am eating my snake.
I had a client.
I am lifting my weights.
I had a client like, I don't know when it was, but they were on a GLP-1 and I didn't know this. Like she didn't inform me that she was eating only 900 calories a day. And when you're in a deficit, like that, you will absolutely not lose weight. In fact, you're much more likely to lose weight when your calories are much higher. So if you're trying to mess around with your macros and you think low calorie is the way to go, it is not. And you don't have to be miserable to lose weight.
Right?
Yeah.
So key takeaways here, go slow. And I know it's really hard. If you have an experiment that you may consider as a fail, you lost peace, you overate, I would stop calling it a fail or self-sabotage. Stop even using those words. It is a lesson. It is, maybe you have to put boundaries around that particular food. So for me, this isn't like the greatest thing ever, but popcorn. I can have popcorn, but only if it's like measured out and when we're watching a movie. But like, I'm not going to have popcorn for lunch. I'm going to have fish and fruit and some squash and maybe some rice, so every attempt doesn't mean you're just a failure. Just give up. Look at you're back to scary. It is scary. It is scary. So don't do it alone, but see it as a lesson and stop using those awful words because those words perpetuate the fear and perpetuating the fear is not going to help you grow. It's not going to help you heal. 100%. Right?
I couldn't agree with you more.
I was carnivore 3.5 years and it tanked my thyroid. Thanks to your story, I got the courage to go on tirzepatide and I'm slowly adding back carbs. It's scary, but I'm losing weight again. Congratulations. Yay. And also, I personally like my route. Like, because my body was handling the food better, I was able to add things back without consequences that I was having previously because my gut needed to heal. My insulin resistance was really bad. I also looked into thyroid and hormones. So just a lot more optimized over here. So when I added things back, it was just, I was coming in a better spot. But not everybody needs to do that because I can tell you Jay Feldman isn't a proponent of the GLP-1s and he's healing people every single day without peptides. So if the peptide thing is like, I've seen the Skeletors, that is not for me. Check out Jay. Well, this is so interesting. Are you like this too? Lillian is lucky. She hears a pulse whooshing in her ear when her stress hormones are kicking in. So she eats some carbs and it goes away. But too high a blood glucose will activate the stress hormones too. The reason I find this so interesting is because I get fascia work done sometimes and I can feel the fascia releasing. I can feel the fluid being, or whatever is in there, being able to move throughout my body. I can hear it in my ears. It's so
Oh,
interesting
that's
when
cool.
you've struggled, how sensitive and in tune to your body you are. I feel like you're very in tune.
I'm very in tune. I haven't experienced that, but I'm very in tune. I have a very deep self-awareness because I've been through so much. And so I definitely, I listen to my body a lot, and I can tell when my nervous system is dysregulated and I'm off, but I haven't experienced what that woman said.
Michelle did carnivore for 2 years and her thyroid was low and lost 2/3 of her hair, 2/3 of my hair.
Mm.
And I was about to get a wig personally. I was
Oh,
always
girl,
healthy,
I was thinking the same thing.
couldn't gain muscle and had absorption issues, added back carbs, and it has helped. Congratulations,
Okay.
Michelle. That is amazing that you're finding what's working for you, that you listen to your body. We work with a practitioner. Like I said, she's running people's labs. I'm not a practitioner. I do not run people's labs. They will tell me sometimes what they are. So I have a general knowledge of what's going on in my group. And it's the same story. It's the same story over and over again. And our practitioner is like, this is super concerning. It's not like a one-off. It's not just me. It's not just you. It's if you're out there and you're struggling on a diet, maybe it actually isn't even necessarily the diet's fault, but maybe it's not healing those thyroid and hormones and maybe making it worse. And you can't lose weight and keep it off. You can't really maintain a healthy weight when your thyroid and your hormones are off, because that's called low metabolism.
Yeah.
I lost weight and had healing in the beginning of carnivore, and it worked great until it didn't. I gained back 20 of the 55. We hear that every single day. Oh, and Michelle, this is a huge victory. Even just not gaining weight is a victory.
Oh, yeah.
And it's slowly dropping, and she's gaining strength and muscle. Yes. Do you do creatine?
Me?
Yeah.
No,
No?
I don't.
Primal woman, primal queen mailed me some creatine bites. So I tried one this morning before I lifted, and I felt like freaking strong. Yeah. And here's another thing. So I wanted to share two things. When I worked with you, you taught me something about my body. And I don't know that this is the right ticket for every single person, but you actually lowered the weightlifting I was doing. And you had me do like 5 exercises 3 times a week. And it varied. And we had this whole variation. So every week, the 3 days, I was doing different muscles, but then I was repeating that every week for however many weeks. In between, you were having me do like 30 crunches, 30 push-ups, 30 lunges, 30 squats, and I might be missing something. I call it the 30-30-30. So doing that little bit of exercise every single day, despite me not losing any weight, was the first time I'd ever seen body composition change.
That's awesome. I love that.
And so I just keep in my mind.
This is the thing. I think a lot of women, like, I knew what your symptoms were in the sense of like, I knew you weren't feeling great, right? And the last thing we want to do is set up a workout regimen for somebody who is already under a chronic state of stress, right? So that's why I say sometimes, believe it or not, less is more. You can still work out, but it needs to be an appropriate and a strategic workout regimen when if your body is not at 100%, right? Because it, like, vigorous exercise, I see so many women. I was one of these women, right? Like, here I am, total struggle bus, and just pushing myself to go. When we do that, we're only working against ourselves. Because guess what? If your stress hormones are already high, and then you're adding that in, guess what? They're going to even become higher. And when you're in a chronic state of stress, good luck getting the weight off. It's not going to happen.
And your metabolism is, the more stressed you are, the more your metabolism is saying, wait a second.
And even right now, like my adrenals and cortisol were definitely not subpar by any means. Thankfully, I never got to phase 3 or phase 4 adrenal fatigue, but I still have some work to do on my healing. And right now I am actually, it's harder for me to be like, okay, like, you need to dial back. You need to have more rest days in. And so mentally that's hard, but it's working because my stress isn't as elevated.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. I'm doing a whole lot less and maintaining, but I'm still doing the things, drinking the water. I personally really, because of like the inflammation, the electrolytes can just tank out real quick. So I'm drinking my electrolytes. I'm working on my sleep. I'm getting movement in. I'm eating my protein. I think we still need to eat protein, and the protein should still mostly come from meat, I think, versus these supplementations to feel our best. So that was one thing you taught me was, and the mind pump guys. I just see it, Megan. One day you're gonna have to be on my
the what guys?
The mind pump?
The mind pump. What's the mind pump guys?
What? How can you not know mind pump?
I don't know.
Oh my gosh, I understand it. You're gonna be obsessed with it. They're genius. They're genius. They're these like gym bros where you'd be like, they don't get me. No, they totally get me. They get you, they get you, they get you, they get us. Okay. They get us and they're awesome. They have a program. It's called MAPS 15 and it's literally 15 minutes a day. And I met this woman at the World Peptide Congress, whatever. And she was jacked. And I was like, I just want to just tell you, I just am admiring what you got going on here. I can't help myself. If I see someone who is like, you have been doing it, you did the work, you're inspiring me. And I just have to say, I'm in awe. And she was like, I was keto and carnivore and I added some carbs back and I just did the 15 minutes a day. And now I'm just like ripped. And I was like, 15 minutes a day? And that's what she needed was to up the carbs, fuel her body, and just 15 minutes of lifting a day.
Yeah.
And she was literally like,
that's amazing. I will say this, like, I'm so grateful that I continued to show up on the really hard days and did what I could. Now I'm at the gym and I'm picking things up and everything feels so light because I feel so much stronger now because I'm giving my body what it actually needs.
Because you have energy inside your body.
Yeah, it's literally like, it's actually almost funny. Like I was laughing. I went to pick up some.
You were already like doing those pull-ups like nothing.
Yeah, but like I know that I look and I have looked pretty strong because I am, but I'll tell you, like I have felt I was feeling so weak for so long. So being back in the gym and actually being like, yeah, I am really freaking strong and I got it back. You know, it's a good feeling. And who would have thought that carbs would have helped me?
I want to just show, if people haven't seen, what is the picture on the left?
Okay, so like I said, I've been bringing carbs slowly back in over the last like year, but I didn't get super serious about it for like really upping them within the last like month. The picture of me running, I kid you not, was 3 weeks ago. My carbs were probably maybe between 100 and 150. I was running a lot, feeling much better, but still was like, oh, I think I need to up my carbs, but was a little nervous. And then I did get a little coaching from my friend Zane. And then, so it's a 3-week difference. Just dialing back. Yeah, 3 weeks. Isn't that crazy?
I should have totally brought in more pictures because I was thinking this must be after she had her injury.
Yeah, no, that's 3 weeks. So yeah, dialed back on my workouts. So like, I'm not running right now. Like I can't, I'm trying to heal my adrenals to 100%. So dialed back on my running. I'm lifting 4 to 5 days a week. I hate to say it, but I really think I need to dial it back to 4 right now, which mentally, like I love lifting, like I love it. So it's like, meh, but I think that's what I need. So I'm going to dial back to 4. I'm at 5. And on my other days, I just walk or do super gentle cardio for like an hour. When I say gentle cardio, I'm either walking on an incline, on a treadmill, or like the elliptical trainer, super easy, keeping my heart rate under 130. So I'm telling you, like, this is my error of like doing less is more.
I'm not saying I'll never go carnivore again, but for my adrenals, I don't see it happening anytime soon. Personally.
I don't have any desire to. I probably won't. I mean, maybe.
I don't know why I would, because I just don't want to be tired and brain fogged.
Yeah.
And
unless, I know this sounds crazy, like, unless I got like really sick with something not good and was like, maybe, but I really like, I'm so happy with the way I'm eating now, my energy, my hair. I don't think I would ever go back.
This is so funny. You don't know who these guys are? This is the lady, by the way. This is the lady. Her arms look phenomenal.
Who is that guy in the camo? I want to know him.
That's the Mind Pump guy. And this is Sal. He's also from Mind Pump, and he was a speaker at the World Peptide Congress. And yeah, you got it. The Mind Pump guys are your cup of tea. This is the whole crew right here. And that's the lady that I was like, wow.
Okay.
Sweetie, whatever you're doing, share it because it is working. Awesome. And then I just wanted to share, I brought a little, this is Adrian at 330. Woo!
That's crazy. Your transformation is incredible.
And then this is me struggling on carnivore. When I added the GLP-1, I was 184 pounds. And that was me like working it, hiring the best coaches that there are, joining every group, joining every challenge. I'm pretty sure that you were probably like, I don't even know what to do with this one because she's just so deep into her perfection,
you know what?
her willpower.
I have had quite a few of clients now, which that's honestly not just through my own experiences, but other clients come in where it has literally pushed me to become another coach and think outside of the box.
Mm-hmm. And this is me today with Zane and Ben.
Oh, I love that. When was that?
That was at Meat Stock. Are you coming?
No. When is it?
It's in May, Meat Stock May, I think. This is me today, like wearing a bikini. What?
I love that.
I want to bring something up really quick because it refers to you, and then we'll let everybody have the rest of their day back. But coming up, you are on a panel at Hack Your Health, right?
I am.
Oh my God. Thank goodness you're going to be representing.
Yeah, I am. I'm very excited. And I was like, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to be on the food addiction panel, but I know that there's another one on the panel that has actually a few of us actually have very similar views on food addiction. So yeah, I'll be there Saturday. It's Saturday, the 12th or the 13th.
You're on the Saturday list?
Yeah, speaking on Saturday at 11:30.
That means it's real good. The later you are, the more they're trying to keep people around.
Yeah. So come see us. It's going to be last year, I mean, the whole room was full. People were literally sitting on the floor. So come check us out.
It was. Are you guys moving to a bigger room? Do you know? Because last year, people didn't get to come.
I'm just going to show up. I'll probably be a little nervous because public speaking is really scary, but I'm much better behind a screen. It's a lot less nerve-wracking behind a screen. But it was a great panel last year, and you were looking hot. As you always do. I appreciate it.
If anybody needs a place to stay, there's a Radically Healthy Airbnb. Check out the details at radicallyhealthy.com. And the next person to book a room, if you haven't bought your conference ticket yet, gets a free conference ticket. And if you are not into joining us at Radically Healthy, which you absolutely should, I've got us matching pajamas.
I love those. Awesome.
And eye masks and earplugs. It's going to be so much fun. But if you already have a place to stay, I do know 2 tickets that are for sale at a very discounted price. So send an email to Adrian at radicallyhealthy.com if you have any questions. I think it's 8. I always have a hard time saying her name, but I think it's Ada. Do you know Ada? I feel like you do. Oh, you should. You should. She's amazing. I think she's from Florida. And she will be, I believe, down at Hack Your Health. She was keto for 4 years and now have a flexible, balanced diet. She does look leaner and happier than ever. If I'm allowed to share, because she shared at Champions for Health this summer, that she also uses some supplements to boost her natural GLP-1 and help just ensure that blood sugar regulation is good. I think berberine was one, and then maybe the Unamate tea. But anyway, there are things that can help the biology function a little better, even if just for a short time. I don't know if she still does that today, but it was something that helped her just process. And she will be there. Yes. Let's see here. All right. Well, I appreciate everybody for coming today. Did we miss anything, Megan?
I think we're good.
Awesome. Where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at megan.alice. Send me a message if you're looking for one-on-one personalized coaching. I have literally my biggest sale of the year coming up. So feel free to send me a message, pick my brain. Always happy to help you any way I can.
And if you're coming from Megan's audience and you don't know who I am, I combine the GOP1 with lifestyle. And if you need any help with that, we have a free and a private community at radicallyhealthy.com. And you can find me here or on Instagram at Adrienne K. Gledhill. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If you could please like, subscribe, and share, we'd greatly appreciate it. Goodbye.
Bye. Thank you.